See, I don't turn it off that way. I turn the volume all the way down. If you do that, it turns it off, right?
Okay, now it's off.
Yeah. All right, I guess we're ready to go.
Okay, it's 2 o'clock.
Let's call to order the September 11th, 2017 meeting with a roll call, please.
Mayor Martini,
Here.
Council members Abbott, Lawson, absent, Smith,
Here.
Bybee,
Here.
Deere,
Here.
City Attorney Adams,
Here.
City Manager Driscoll.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
Okay, opening ceremonies. We have just the Pledge of Allegiance, but we're going to have the prayer. It's not listed here. The gentleman that was supposed to be here to do it couldn't make it. He had a death in the family, so our councilman, Mr. Dare, will take that. If you'd all stand, please.
Today is a very important day. And before I pray, I just want to say, with it being 9/11, one of the things that we tend to do is try to push away anything that's a negative and hard moments. And that was a very hard moment for many. But I would challenge us that we take those moments and we learn from them and we grow. And so my prayer today will be based on that and praying for our people who are off at war now and the people who are fighting for our freedom. So we join me. Lord, I come to you and I do thank you for the provisions you've had on this nation. Lord, as we walk together and we face so many different things, so many different enemies in a sense, but Lord, even the things that we do in our own culture right now. Lord, I pray and I think back to that day 16 years ago. I remember it. Everything seemed to stand still that day. And Lord, I pray that we can remember those things that we learned. How to link arms and be there for each other. How to look out for each other's need. How to become one and walk as a nation. Lord, we do lift up those who are in harm's way right now, fighting for our freedoms. Lord, help those in office make good decisions that continue to protect those freedoms. But Lord, I also pray for our citizens, Lord, that we remember that it is our responsibility as well. As we walk forward, we keep the most important things important to us. Help us teach our families, help us walk forward, and honor what today stands for, and its lives and its sacrifice, and in the end, its unity as an American. Amen.
I'd like to ask everyone, we want to take a moment of silence to remember 9/11. I'm a flight attendant for American Airlines, so those were two of my airplanes that went down that day. So if we could all just take a moment silence to remember 9/11. Thank you.
Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Smith, would you lead us, please?
Certainly, love to. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on, we have public comment, but we'll wait 1 minute. Now, it's not very often that we get someone from a different council or commission or whatever to come over and invade our meetings. I mean, not only is he invading the meeting, he's not even incognito. I mean, if I was gonna go to Reno or Washoe County, I would put some kind of costume on so they couldn't recognize me. But from the city of Reno is Councilman Oscar Delgado. Welcome, Oscar.
No cameras, Oscar, or anything like that.
But film at 11. Okay, opening ceremonies, we have public comment. Does anyone want to make public comment? I don't have any cards to speak public comment. Okay. Moving on to the agenda, approval of the agenda. Anybody want to take anything out of order? If not, looking for a motion. Ms. Bybee.
Move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Mr. Abbott.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Abbott to approve the agenda as outlined by staff. Next is the minutes. Consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the regular Sparks City Council meeting of August 28th, 2017. Any omissions, deletions, or corrections? Mr. Dare,
I move to approve the minutes as stated.
Ms. Bybee.
Second?
Moved by Mr. Dare, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve the minutes as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, announcements, presentations, recognition items, and items of special interest. First, we have a commendation, the City of Sparks Band, Whitewater. I can't wait to get to this one. Oh, yeah, there he is. Bunch of old reprobates. Okay, if Whitewater would like to step down in front of the podium, please, I'll read the commendation. You guys need any help or anything? I have a little electric cart. I have a little electric cart back here.
You want to play guitar? We need some help.
Whereas the band Revolver was formed in 1976 and soon became known as Whitewater, whose first public appearance was the opening of a long tradition of volunteering for nonprofits at Washoe County Fairgrounds, raising money for the Northern Nevada Food Pantry. Over the years, many talented musicians
Thank you.
use those words lightly, okay? Over the years, many talented musicians come in and out of the band. From 1978, is that come in or get booted? Yeah.
Both. Little this, little.
1976, 86, Whitewater performed at many clubs in Northern Nevada and Northern California. In 1986, the band recorded an original album at Granny House, a high-tech recording studio, and then at Star Sound Audio, and I have a copy of the.
The only thing is you just need a few drinks and turn it up loud.
Okay.
And everything's good. Back to the 80s, like right now. Just to you, Gene.
Make some money, we might as well shoot it up there. Okay, whereas Whitewater stopped performing publicly in 1987, but the members of the band who were involved in the original recording session included Mike C. Kelly, who is here, Lee Miles, I don't see Lee, Mike Goss, Ron Leyland, don't see anybody big enough to be Ron Leyland, Mike Baselli, and Elise Weatherly. The other two members involved in the recording session are Bob Rasner and Kirk Berryman. Whitewater is also known as the City of Sparks Band, as many members worked for and retired from the best local government agency on planet Earth. Whereas even after the band stopped performing publicly, members of the band working at the city would perform at many City of Sparks functions, including the annual City of Sparks Awards Banquet, the Autumn Harvest Party, New Year's Eve Party, and the City of Sparks Centennial Celebration. This is how they also became known as the City of Sparks Band. And whereas to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Whitewater recording sessions, the Great Basin Brewing Company of Victorian Square will graciously present the Whitewater 30th year anniversary CD release party hosted by another Sparks band, Acoustic Wonderworld. In keeping with a long-standing Whitewater tradition of assisting nonprofits, this performance, as well as CD and t-shirts sales, will benefit the Children's Cabinet. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, do hereby join with the council, City Council, in congratulating the band Whitewater on many years of contributions to our community in both their volunteer volunteer work and sharing their gift of music. Thanks, guys. So I'll hand them as you want to walk by the. Mike, why don't you go ahead and say a few words, and then the rest of you, please, or whoever is the leader of the band here. Go ahead and say a few words and then go ahead.
Council, thank you all for having us here today, and we're really excited, if we can remember how to play the songs, to perform again in public, and we're super excited to partner with the Children's Cabinet. In addition to the CDs and T-shirts, some amazing people have stepped forward to give us some really awesome raffle prizes, like a male and female cruiser bike, a really nice grill, and a lot of local artists, some metal sculptures, things like that. So, electric guitar donated from Mr. Goss's personal collection. So a lot of city employees have stepped forward to donate some items. So it's going to be a fun event. We'd like to thank Tom Young and his crew, Ron Leyland and Paul Ganser over there for helping us. And just the band, it's really a nice feeling. I've had two joys in my life. One was working here with all of you fine people, and another one was working with this incredibly talented group of people. Why they kept me around, I don't know. But we have something that we'd like to present to Mayor Martini. Great Basin Brewing Company presents Mayor Gino Martini's City of Sparks Band, aka Whitewater. So Gino,
That's wonderful.
thank you for all you've done for us.
No
for our
problem.
city, and everybody, please join me in celebrating our mayor.
Let's see, what night are you guys playing?
Saturday the 23rd.
So the Great Basin will be closed that night, okay? You're supposed to laugh, that's a joke. It will not be closed.
out there, yeah.
It will not be closed. It's on the 23rd. What time you start, Mike?
Starting at 6.
Is it free of charge, tickets?
Free of charge outdoor stage, so it's free of charge, and like we said, we'll have the CDs available, and we're really pleased how, it sounds like the day we recorded at Granny's house, and for those that don't know, 1986, there was no digital music, so we lugged around these 24-track analog tapes for 30 years. Little did we know that tape disintegrates over time, so the tapes had to be shipped to LA, and they actually put them in an oven with some brownies and baked them and melted them all back together. And we don't know how that worked, but it sounds great, so we're really pleased. Yeah, most likely.
It's legal though.
It is LA, yeah.
So anyway, thanks, guys. Not only are these guys play well, but you know what? They were great employees. I wish they were all back and did a wonderful job. So thank you, guys. We'll see you on the 23rd. Thanks. Okay, next is 7.2, Proclamation, National Firefighters Museum Memorial Service, excuse me. If I could read, I'd read somebody. Hi, Chief. How are you, sir? Let me read the proclamation, then you can say a few words, if you don't mind. Try to have some water. The United States Congress and the President of the United States have designated the day of the annual National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Service as a day to honor firefighters and emergency services personnel who have sacrificed their lives to save others. By lowering the American flag on all federal buildings to half staff, and whereas an average of 100 firefighters courageously make the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty each year. And whereas the events of September 11, 2001 brought national attention to the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices faced by fire and emergency service personnel on a daily basis. And whereas firefighters and emergency services personnel play an essential role in the protection of lives and property in our local community. And whereas the National Memorial Service makes the beginning of the annual Fire Prevention Week observance. And whereas it is of minor importance that we increase our, whereas it is of major importance that we increase our efforts to reduce deaths, injuries, and property losses from fire. And now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, now call upon all citizens of the City of Sparks and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the emergency services personnel by lowering American flags on all buildings to half-staff. I encourage appropriate services and ceremonies in which all of our citizens may participate to honor fire and emergency services personnel, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to duties have rendered invaluable service to our community and citizens. I further call upon citizens of the City of Sparks to remember all fire and emergency personnel who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our community and to pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Thank you.
Council members, Manager Driscoll, for the record, Sparks Fire Chief Chris Maples. I'm honored to accept this proclamation on behalf of the Sparks Fire Department in recognition of the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. The foundation was created in 1981 to honor and remember American firefighters who gave their lives in the line of duty. But more importantly, the foundation provides resources to assist surviving family members and works to reduce firefighter deaths and injuries. The Fallen Firefighter Monument is located on the campus of the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. The monument honors all members of the fire service, whether volunteer or paid, who have died in the line of duty since 1981. To date, there are 4,060 names on the monument, and this year, unfortunately, another 95 names will be added. Two of those being honored this year were Nevadans. Jacob O'Malley and Will Hawkins were both BLM firefighters. Jacob was born in Carson City and grew up in Lake Tahoe, and Will was born and raised in Reno. They died last summer when their brush truck rolled over while they were monitoring lightning strikes on public lands near Winnemucca. On October 8th, a memorial service will be held at the National Fire Academy to honor these two individuals and the 93 other firefighters who lost their lives in 2016 and prior years. I thank you for this proclamation on their behalf as well. As noted earlier, today is the 16th anniversary of the terrorist attacks on the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and United Airlines Flight 93. Almost 3,000 people lost their lives in these attacks, including 343 members from the Fire Department of New York. There's a separate monument at the National Fire Academy to honor these fallen firefighters. The monument is a bronze statue of 3 New York firefighters raising the American flag over the ruins of the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001. It's fitting to recognize firefighters who've died in the line of duty, but we should also honor and remember all those who lost their lives on 9/11 and in the 16 years that have followed. Thank you.
Yeah, it was obviously everyone remembers that day. Pretty tough day in the life of quite a few people, including all the firefighters and things. So thank you very much. These people, policemen, firemen, when they go out the door in the morning, have no idea what may be facing them out there during the day. So this was an incredible, incredible situation. Thanks, Chief. Okay, proclamations, September for cerebral palsy. Someone here to accept that? Okay, I'll go ahead and read the proclamation, and you can give us your name for the record. Have a seat. There's no use standing when you can sit, right? Proclamation. Whereas people with disabilities constitute the largest minority group in the United States and the only group anyone can become a member of at any time. And whereas increased by public awareness can help people with disabilities live an active, engaged lifestyle. And whereas 800,000 people in the United States are living with cerebral palsy, and every hour a baby is born with cerebral palsy. And whereas the month of September can be used to recognize everyone living with the physical challenges of cerebral palsy and other disabilities. And whereas we will recognize September along with millions of people nationwide, where we will attempt to take 10,000 steps each day to raise awareness and money for United Cerebral Palsy of Nevada. Now therefore I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2017 as Step-tember, and call on all citizens within the City of Sparks to join me in participating in the challenge to better understand and support those with cerebral palsy and other disabilities. Thank you. If you want to grab this, I'll give this to you then. Just give us your name for the record.
Well, thank you, Mayor Martini, members of council. My name is Eric Jimenez. I serve on the board of UCP of Nevada. And to my right is Monica Ellsbrook, who is our CEO. And we are absolutely honored to receive this proclamation today. Our organization is one of the oldest nonprofits in Northern Nevada. And we are focused on helping people with disabilities find gainful employment within the community. I know to Councilman Smith, helping people with disabilities is absolutely near and dear to all of our hearts, and we, truly commend each and every one of you for the work that you do to improve the lives of this population every day. We have an event coming up next Wednesday, so I'll plug that real quick. What we're doing is every day through the month of September, we're trying to take 10,000 steps a day to raise awareness for people with disabilities and money for our organization. And Councilman Abbott, Councilman Oscar Delgado have stepped up, and they will be joining us at 11 a.m. on the 20th next week to do a couple laps around Virginia Lake. So we invite everyone to join us. Do you have anything to say?
I just want to say that we recently became Sparks business members as we opened our administrative offices on Freeport. So we're delighted. Yeah, we're here.
But seriously though, oftentimes this community of folks, they're the most vulnerable population in our state, and they tend to fall through the cracks. So I cannot commend all of you and Councilman Abbott and Councilman Delgado for actually standing up for this population of folks. Thank you.
Oscar, come on up. Listen, before you get here, I just want to let you know, please watch for him. Look behind, make sure he's not falling or whatever. He's a little clumsy, but he's a nice guy. So. Go ahead, Oscar, and say a few words.
Mayor, council, city manager, thank you all for having me here. It's a true honor to be here, of course, in support of Step-tember. I was involved last year as well, and it's just a great opportunity to get the community involved and more engaged and understanding that the amount of need and information out there for people to support and of course, advocate on those that are dealing with an issue, especially the families. More and more, we all know the stress that comes in the household, especially the parents and the families that are dealing with communities of need. And this is a great opportunity for people to get out and about and get to meet one another, exchange information, exchange phone numbers, and support one another as this community begins to grow. More and more, we see this community growing, and we tend to lose sight of those nonprofits that are doing good work. Here's an opportunity again for those to merge again and share that information to support one another. So thank you again, Mayor Martini, for having me here. Thank you for putting me on the spot. I appreciate that. And I'll definitely look out for Mr. Abbott. No, I'll definitely look out for Councilman Abbott. I'll make sure he brings his running shoes.
Shane has a question for you, and then I'll let Mr. Abbott speak too.
Actually, for Eric. So
How can we support the event next week if we're not able to, you said fundraising, is that something online we can do? If you can't come, is it only at 11 o'clock that day? If people can show up, they can participate, and is there a fee to run, or do you get sponsors, or how can we support it financially?
So you do not have to show up to the event to help us out. You can start a team by going to steptember.us, I believe.
It's www.ucpnv.org/September.
Okay.
Always forget.
Okay.
www.ucpnv.org/September.
And you can create your own teams from there and donate money. And if you just want to, try to be a little more active during the week and try to take 10,000 steps, it's challenging. I'm trying to do it every day. I know Councilman Abbott and I are personally struggling each and every day. So any help we can get would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Abbott, anything in rebuttal?
It's like I said, it's definitely a challenge. It's a great cause. Obviously my watch keeps track of it, and I've been lazy the last year easily. 10,000 steps a day sounds easy. It really does, but I walk the Marine almost every night now, and it's at 10, 11 o'clock, just getting out there and getting the steps in, and it's for a great cause. And Charlene, we do have a team, you could donate to our team as well. I will say that. However you want to, it's a great cause, so let's come out.
Right, about that lazy thing, your mother told me you've been lazy longer than that.
You got me there.
All right, thanks, Councilman
Thank you very
Delgado.
much.
Councilman Abbott, thanks you folks for coming, and good luck. One for the children. Okay, we have a presentation, I'm sorry, from the Children's Cabinet. Come on up. I read that incorrectly. Thank you. And just give us your name for the record, please.
Absolutely. Mayor Martini and City Council members, thank you for having me. My name is Amy Riley. I'm the Communications Manager for the Children's Cabinet. And we wanted to take this opportunity in lieu of Whitewater being here and us anticipating the exciting event coming up in a few weeks to take a few moments and refamiliarize yourselves with our organization. We are headquartered here in Sparks off of Longley and Rock Boulevard, and our newest campus actually opened in February over on the NAMS campus. So I just wanted to take a few moments and go through a little bit of who we are and what we do. So if I can get this up and running, and sorry everyone. There we go. All right, like I said, I'm with the Children's Cabinet. We were founded in 1985 by Mike Dermody and Judge Charles McGee. We're a statewide nonprofit organization, and we serve 11,000 families each year throughout Nevada. Our programs include resources and referrals, family counseling, educational programs, assistance with basic needs, counseling, outreach to runaway homeless and foster youth, and other family support services. All of our programs through generous donations throughout our state, federal funding, state funding, and individual contributions allow our programs and services to be free and available to all families. So like I said, we do have campuses throughout Nevada, 2 of which are located here in Sparks, 2 in Reno, 1 in Carson City, 1 in Elko, and 1 in Las Vegas. We have over 25 programs and over 230 employees currently with our organization. Our programs range from early support education services, child care navigation, parent and provider workshops and training. We have youth intervention services, including Face Forward and youth work experience programs. We operate the Safe Place program for the state of Nevada. We have an on-site high school at our Midtown location called Redfield Academy. It's a 40-student high school for kids that are very delinquent in credits and gives them an opportunity to not only catch up on those credits, but also pursue further educational opportunities. And then newly, we have just opened our Transitional Living Center and Independent Living program at our new Galletti campus. These are some pictures of that campus. We're very proud of it. It's an exciting step forward for some of the continued issues that face our city and state, including youth homelessness, a place to extend our Safe Place program so that kids ages 12 to 24 have quite literally a safe place to go and a place that they can call home. So these are some images of that campus. There are 2 living transitional facilities on that campus as well as offices. Our grand opening was in February, and as I mentioned, our Center for Aspiring Youth, which is the acronym for K, that is 16 beds that are an extension of our Safe Place program, 8 for males, 8 for females. It is a place that we can house children as we work towards reunification for the kids. Our independent living program is for that next spectrum of ages, ages 18 to 24 for kids that have aged out of foster care or are currently homeless. So it gives them a real stepping stone and, like I said, a home facility for them to start their lives, find jobs, keep jobs, and support our community. Our grand opening had 200 community leaders in attendance, our board members, our public partners, which include Washoe County Social Services, Juvenile Services, the Washoe County School District, the Nevada Division of Welfare and Supportive Services, and the U.S. Department of Labor, in addition to business leaders and major supporters of the Children's Cabinet. So we were very proud to have a beautiful celebration at our new Sparks campus. Like I met, well, and Councilman Oscar Delgado is featured in that top right picture, but that was just serendipitous. But these are just some pictures of the real faces of the Children's Cabinet. We have our Youth Build program. We have our Spray Positive program. We have an on-site youth-run business called Cabinet Inc., which is a silkscreen t-shirt printing business. All of these are outreach and educational opportunities for youth trying to get back on track. And every single person that comes through the Children's Cabinet doors, we consider a part of our family, and we take our responsibility and our role as family members very, very seriously. I had also mentioned our Redfield Academy, which is our 40-student on-site high school located at our Midtown location at 777 Sinclair. Our 2017 graduation class was the largest in school histories, including 4 juniors that not only caught up on delinquent credits, they graduated early. So it's quite an accomplishment. With funds raised at our recent Art of Childhood fundraising gala a few weeks ago, we were able to raise $96,000 to dedicate solely to the school for continued expansion, to purchase a new school bus and driver, and to continue to upgrade classrooms and fund for out-of-classroom experiences like trips to Tahoe, professionals to come in to give business advice, school counseling, and more. And none of this could be done without community support. For example, our partnership with Whitewater and their celebration of their 30th anniversary and their CD release. We're excited to be a part of that. Individual contributions and contributions from groups like Whitewater enable us to do so much and continue our programming throughout the year. We have some of these pictures feature our Thanksgiving run, the Wobble Before You Gobble, which is always a fun downtown race. It's a 5K family event. We are the benefit of the proceeds, and it's put on by Desert Sky. We also, some of the pictures featured are the Pinwheels for Prevention program that happens in the spring. The Bikers Against Child Abuse, who come and do presentations to our youth and help us do various fun donation drives throughout the year, as well as just a tremendous support throughout the community, from individuals to sororities and fraternities to schools and UNR, and we're just very proud to have such positive relationships with all these organizations. And then finally, like I mentioned, we do have events throughout the year. We have Children's Day, which is a national day of education and support for early education services, which is coming up at the end of this month. We're also gearing up for our holiday Adopt a Family program and community toy table, which will take place in December, which is totally made possible through corporate and individual support, and literally enables us to give Christmas to the families that wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise. We just had the balloon races this weekend. We gave 600 tethered rides to kids throughout the community, so it's always a, no pun intended, uplifting event. And a lot of fun for all involved. And then year round, we have food pantry and clothing donation collection at all of our locations, in addition to other outreach services. So hopefully you have a little bit better idea of what we do, our breadth throughout the state and our community, and just generally how proud we are to be a part of this city, and how thankful we are for support like the support we have coming up on September 23rd at Great Basin with Whitewater. So thank you very much for allowing my presentation.
Here, I'm well aware of how long Children's Cabinet has been here, have done work through the years through Junior League of Reno, way back when when Children's Cabinet was relatively new, and Sheila Leslie was there. So we're going back to your beginnings. So I appreciate what you've done in the community. I especially am thrilled to see that your outreach for young adults and teenagers and homeless teens. I think those are critical needs in the community that sometimes are not addressed as much as they need to be. And so I really appreciate your outreach and the programs you're doing for teens and for our youth today. But thank you so much for the work that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yes, and congratulations on the graduation thing. Taking teenagers and seeing them first find hope and then be willing to discipline themselves to go after it is actually quite a task. And so I'll tell you, that's awesome, and that's wonderful, and just cheer you on as you continue to do that. You change more than just a life when you do that. You change whole families, and it actually changes communities. So very good.
Thank you for that recognition.
I'm proud, excuse me, proud to say that my mother still crochets by hand little blankets and things for little babies, and she's 96 years old. So she sits at home, she's got nothing else to do, watch TV and crochet, and still does quite a bit of that and donates them to the
It's beautiful to come into our offices and see just the individual touches that are very personalized for families in the truest sense of just making, giving a little bit of hope to whoever walks through that door. So thank you, and thanks to your mom.
Thank you.
All right.
Next is presentation, Community Health Alliance update. How are you, sir? Please give us your name for the record.
Certainly. For the record, my name is Charles Duarte. I'm the CEO of Community Health Alliance. And like our previous speaker, I'm going to try to get my presentation up and running in just a second. Mayor and members of the City Council, thanks so much for having me here today. Again, my name is Charles Duarte. I'm the CEO for Community Health Alliance. And I really appreciate the help of the council as well as the mayor in getting our health center started in Sparks. I know Mr. Abbott came and visited us that day, and I think Mr. DeHare did as well. So thank you so much for showing up at our opening last year. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our organization. I do want to recognize a couple of employees who are here today. Two very important employees. One is Afton Neufeld, who is our Director of Marketing. She's in the back there. And the other is Councilman Delgado. Oscar Delgado is our Director of Community Relations. And so when he's not spying on the City Council of Sparks, he is actually working for Community Health Alliance, and it's a pleasure having him. And he did comment that he's very jealous of how quickly your meetings go by as opposed to the Reno City Council. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. Yeah, we absolutely do.
Checking.
Anyway, Community Health Alliance, we're a nonprofit community health organization here in Northern Nevada, and we provide medical, dental, and behavioral health services as well as additional services. It's working. That's our mission, quality, affordable, comprehensive care to all, regardless of ability to pay. And so you may have known us as in our former incarnations, the Hawk Community Health Center, started by the Washoe County Medical Society, and then a much older organization called the Sisters of San Rafael and St. Mary's Medical Center. Those two organizations merged in 2012 to form Community Health Alliance. We adopted a lot of staff and resources from the St. Mary's Mission and Outreach programs at that time and created a new corporation. Here are our 6 locations located in Washoe County. Our largest is the Wells Medical Dental Center on Wells Avenue. We have a health center on Record Street, 4th and Record. It's our Healthcare for the Homeless Health Center. We have one down at Miguel Rivera Park, the Neil Road Health Center, one way up north in Sun Valley. And then close to our Wells Dental Center, Medical Dental Center, is a center for complex care for adults who have serious chronic problems. And then our newest health center that we're very, very proud of is our Sparks Medical Dental Center on Oddie Boulevard. In fact, it's right next door to the United Cerebral Palsy Thrift Center on Oddie. And in fact, they participated in a recent nutrition fair that we put on. So we're very glad to have them as partners as well. I'm going to skip through some slides, keep this short. So a little bit about our patients. We have about 30,000 unduplicated patients and about 7,000 in the city of Sparks. So we're quite a significant presence in terms of healthcare. So that's 30,000 unique belly buttons, essentially, of patients and clients. About 90,000 visits. 60% of our patients are Hispanic. And most of them are on Medicare or Medicaid or are uninsured. In fact, about 20% of them, as you can see there, are uninsured. We've got 250, actually I've been told it's closer to 270 staff now, so growing fast. 70% of our staff are bilingual. We have 50 licensed clinical professionals of all stripes. So, medical providers, dental providers, pharmacists, et cetera. These are our 4 main services. So primarily we are a family medicine-based program. The only thing we don't provide in terms of medical care is obstetrics, so maternity care, but we have a great partnership with the renowned Pregnancy Center. And then the Women's and Infants and Children's Supplemental Nutrition Program, along with Washoe County Health District, we have the second WIC program. We're more community-based and serve about 5,000 clients. And then you can see the other services there. Our other main services are behavioral health, our low-cost pharmacy, and then we're one of the largest dental providers of low-income families in Nevada. I talked about our medical services already, and that handsome gentleman with the stethoscope around his head, not the one that has it listening to his heart, but the gentleman with the beard is our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jason Crawford. And you can see the services that we provide as a part of our medical department. These are some of the services we provide through WIC. We have a great partnership with the Ronald McDonald House, and they sponsor our WIC van. It goes to 7 locations throughout the community. We have 10 other locations in the community that we serve, including those in Sparks, with our WIC program. We provide behavioral health at 3 of our major health centers. We have a great in-house pharmacy that provides low-cost drugs to people without insurance. And we're hoping to open a pharmacy in our Sparks location shortly. I mentioned our Healthcare for the Homeless project, our health center on 4th and Record Street. We serve about 1,300, homeless individuals, someone that identifies himself as homeless or in transitional housing situation or doubling up or in a shelter. Throughout our system of 6 health centers, but most of them are served on our 4th and Record Street location. And you can see the free services that they get if they don't have insurance. These are some of the dental services we provide. Our largest dental center is at our Wells Avenue location. But as I mentioned, we now have a 3 operatory practice at Sparks. And we are hoping to expand in that location next door and add more pediatric dental chairs for the community of Sparks. We have great mobile programs. We go to 26 Title I schools in the Washoe County School District, including schools in Sparks. And we do sealants, and we put basically sealants and fluoride varnish on 6-year-old and 12-year-old teeth. And we love that program. And we also do other outreach, including mobile dental outreach to the senior center run by VOA and Sparks. And I've already talked about our Sparks Health Center, and look, there's Councilman Delgado again. I'll be darned. Sorry about that, Mr. Mayor.
That's all right. I've never seen him in this many pictures. And they're all in Sparks. I love it.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
He is from Sparks.
These are some additional services. So we help with transportation. We have a great healthy weight program for kids who are pre-obese. And we have a great partnership with the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. We've given away about 10,000 bags of fresh groceries to people who identify themselves as food insecure in the community. We have people that help with insurance facilitation and get people on Medicaid. And these are some of our community partners, as you can see. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation, and I'd be available to answer any questions.
Questions, and one other comment I'd like to make. You know, I love your haircut, okay?
It's easy to maintain, yeah.
I did have the honor to go down and see you guys' opening, and what a great thing. My big question is, if you're thinking of expanding it all, but you've mentioned you're doing some in that area. Have you guys looked at any other areas that you might think about around Sparks, or?
We have, and I think for now, one of the things we want to do is take advantage of that base location for a lot of reasons. You know, primarily the fact that we had to improve that property quite a bit. We want to be able to extend it and use the infrastructure that we built into that unit. So it keeps our costs down essentially for things like plumbing and sewers and stuff like that. So we want to include our expand our dental practice next door.
Hope the best for you. I know there's a lot of healthcare roller coastering going on, so we definitely
thank you so much.
We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do you entertain quick questions from the floor?
I'll go ahead and do it because this is a nonprofit. Go ahead.
Your program has access to 340B pricing? Yes, it does. Are you delivering any services by telemedicine? We're going to start a telemedicine program actually at our Sparks Health Center in partnership with Renown. They're going to be working at O'Brien Middle School and using our providers at Sparks for primary care services. Yes. Sure.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go to consent items, 8.1 and 8.2. Anybody want to pull a consent item? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion. Mr. Dare.
I move to approve 8.2 consent items.
Second.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Dare, second by Mr. Smith. Let's go to general business. 9.1, consideration and possible approval of resolution number 3317, amending and updating fees, charges by the fire department of the city of Sparks for certain fire inspections, re-inspections, fire suppression, and fire prevention services. Mr. King, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Robert King, Fire Marshal for record. On August 28th this year, I gave a presentation requesting consideration to adopt a business impact statement regarding the resolution we're talking about today, 3317, amending and updating fees charged by the Sparks Fire Department. You gave approval of the business impact statement at that time, and so today I'm here to ask for your approval and consideration to adopt Resolution 3317, amending and updating fees charged by the Sparks Fire Department.
Short and sweet. Questions for Mr. King? Questions for motion? Mr. Smith.
I move to approve resolution number 3317, amending and updating fees charged by the fire department of the city of Sparks for certain fire inspections, re-inspections, fire suppression, and fire prevention services.
Mr. Abbott. Moved by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Abbott to approve 9.1 as outlined by. Assuming you have the next one too. 9.2, consideration and possible approval of resolution number 3318, authorizing certain individuals to make final commitments to purchase, sell, and approve collection collateral for investment securities on.
You got it. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the council. I actually just have before you a resolution that we bring before you from time to time just to change up the staff members that are allowed to, that have authorization to contact and work with our investment financial institutions to make sure that our assets are invested properly and in accordance. It's really an extra measure. It's not required by the NRS, but it is an extra measure that we take and our financial institutions take to make sure that who they're working with is authorized list. So what we have here in front of you is just you know, the current list of folks that we want to have authorization to contact and work with our investment advisors and people who would sell us investments and such, and keep our procedures in order. So with that, I have entertained any questions.
Questions? Seeing none, looking for a motion, Ms. Bybee.
I move to approve resolution number 3318, authorizing certain individuals to make financial commitments to purchase, sell, and approve collateral for investment securities on behalf of the city.
Mr. Dare.
I second that.
A motion by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Dare to approve 9.2. Number 3318. Any further discussion? Vote. Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
9.3, consideration and possible approval of a construction contract. AC 5403 for the Silver Shore Park infield. Bid number 1718-006. PWP-WA-2-4.
It's a mouthful, huh? Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. For the record, my name is Brian Kaysen, Capital Projects Manager for the City of Sparks. Of course, I'm here today to present the Silverton Shores Park and Wingfield Trail project for consideration and possible approval to the Garden Shop Nursery Landscape Division. This project includes both constructing a new park within the Wingfield Springs planned development and also enhancing the Wingfield Trail to give residents better access to the park. This is the last park identified for construction as part of the Wingfield Springs Plan Unit development. There were 2 bids submitted for the project ranging from $572,583 to $608,154, with Garden Shop Nursery being the low bidder. Staff is recommending that Garden Shop Nursery be awarded the project. And with that being the end of my presentation, I will answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Mr. Kaysen? Go ahead.
This will include doing the play equipment, installing the play equipment as well.
Yes,
correct?
yes. So yeah, the next agenda item, of course, is for the actual play equipment. But yes, that's for installing it, doing the Wingfield Trail part of it. And the Wingfield Trail and the park part are separate in terms of the funding source on there, so, yep.
First of all, I want to thank you. I've got a lot of happy residents that when I was elected 3 years ago, were asking, where's the park that they've been waiting for a long time. And so I'm thrilled that we finally are going to be able to provide them with a park and access to the trail. And I am ready to make a motion if there are not other comments.
We have one more. Go ahead, Christopher.
I just want to know, I don't know if I found it or not. What safety service we put in there, and is that included in this cost, or is that the cost when you buy the, which budget is that coming out of? When it comes to the safety service?
Safety service?
Safety service around the playground? What, do we know what's going down there? Because, you know, you have
Oh, the surface, oh, I'm sorry,
Safety
surface, the surface. We were trying to get that, the little, the tiles, they're basically like a rubberized tile, but because of cost, we had in there, that was as an alternate. The stuff that's going in there is just gonna be essentially, bark. That's gonna go down, yeah. We were hopeful that we could get the other one, but the costs were just too high.
I move to approve the contract for the Silverton Shores Park and Wingfield Trail Project in the amount of $572,583 to Garden Shop Nursery Landscaping Division, Inc.
You know, I just want to second this.
It's been moved by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Smith to approve 9.3 for $572,000.
No, that's wrong.
Park and Wingfield Trail Park. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. 9.4, consideration and possible approval of a purchase of play equipment for Silverton Shores Park in the amount of $74,327.32 from the BCI Burke Company, Inc., LLC. Go ahead.
Again, my name's Brian Kaysen, Capital Projects Manager for the City of Sparks. I'm here today to present the play equipment for the Silverton Shores Park for consideration and possible approval to BCI Burke Company. The City of Sparks Parks and Recreation Commission reviewed different play equipment configurations on December 24th, 2016. It says 2017 in the agenda, but it's actually 2016. I can't see into the future. So, and they determined that the attached play equipment that we have in this agenda item from the BCI Burke Company was the best option. This agenda item is for the purchase of the play equipment only and will be installed by the contractor, as I discussed with Councilman Abbott. The play equipment will be purchased through two separate purchase orders, basically separating out the Washoe County sales tax and the cost of the play equipment. Staff is recommending the council approve the purchase of the play equipment from the BCI Burke Company. And with that being the end of my presentation, I will take any questions that you may have.
Questions for Brian?
My main question is just number-wise. If on the bill, it's $68,653, and you guys are asking for $74.
Yeah, because the bill was just for the play equipment without tax, and since we're required now to pay tax on the equipment, the remaining amount, whatever it was, the difference between those two is just the tax on that equipment. Yeah.
Any other questions, Ms. Bybee?
Amount of $74,327.32 from BCI Burke Company, LLC.
I have a second, Mr. Dare.
I'll second that.
Moved by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Dare to approve agenda item 9.4, purchase of park equipment. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Nine point five, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of an agreement, AC 5406, for treated effluent between the City of Sparks, the City of Reno, and the Tahoe Industrial General Improvement District. Mr. Martini.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. John Martini, your Community Services Director. I'm before you today for your consideration and possible approval. An agreement to provide treated effluent, 4,000 acre feet annually from the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility to the Tri-Centers. As a matter of background, on May 8th of this year, Assistant City Manager Mr. Kreutz was before you presenting to you a proposal from Tri-GID that outlined a framework to begin negotiations on. Mr. Kreutz was seeking your direction to the city manager to allow staff to begin negotiations. This council did give that direction to the city manager, and under the city manager's direction, a team from the city of Sparks, of which I was a part of, did begin negotiations thereafter. Through the negotiations, we came to an agreement that was then presented to the City of Reno City Council on August 23rd. As the City of Reno considered that agreement, they provided direction to their city manager to have some changes made to the agreement for clarifying certain terms and conditions, and they asked that the revised agreement come back to the City of Reno on September 13th, which is coming up here quickly, Wednesday. The agreement that is attached to to my staff report is in fact that amended agreement. The City of Reno staff made the changes under the direction of the Reno City Manager. That revised agreement was then reviewed by your Sparks staff and the City Manager, and under his direction, we are presenting that revised agreement to you today for your consideration. The agreement itself states the intentions, authorities, considerations, duties, and commitments of each party, and the terms and conditions for the annual delivery of up to 4,000 acre feet of treated effluent from Tumwharf to Trick. While the legal implications of the agreement are present throughout each of the 13 sections, I have summarized in my staff report the key points that embody this agreement. Chiefly, we will start with Section 7 of the agreement, which is the Replacement Water and Return Flow Management Agreement. As the council will recall, the proposal put forth by Tri-Grid included up to 4,000 acre feet of replacement water coming from 3 sources. 1,500 acre feet would come from water rights from Tri-GID, 1,500 to 2,200 acre feet of surface water rights from the Nevada Department of Transportation via the state of Nevada, and the remainder somewhere between 300 and 1,000 acre feet from community source resources water from our colleagues at Tumwa. The management of the surface waters, particularly in this return flow management agreement, are key to everything going forward with this agreement, should you approve it. The return flow management agreement will set forth the processes and procedures for the surface water that will, of course, have to be in conformance with TRUA, which means the federal water master. And should the return flow management agreement dictate that any permits that exist or are needed in the future for the use of that effluent, those will also have to be reviewed and approved by the state engineer. While the duties and commitments of both parties are clear in the agreement, before I move on, Section 7, the Return Flow Management Agreement also acts as a poison pill to this overall agreement. If in 24 months the parties have not been able to establish a return flow management agreement, this agreement that is before you today will be null and void, and neither of the parties will have any liability to each other. So your consideration of this agreement today is hinged on a return flow management agreement that will be created and returned to you for review in the future, and should within 24 months that not happen, the agreement will be null and void. So duties and commitments of Tri-GID. Tri-GID agrees to plan, permit, and construct the effluent pipeline from the point of delivery in the tri-centers to a point of connection within Tumwharf at their sole expense. That is included in sections 3.1, and then in 3.4 they agree to maintain it forever. Tri-Grid agrees to bid the contract for construction of the pipeline as public works projects. You will find that in section 2.8. Tri-Grid, Tri-GID agrees to not allow any discharge of Tumwharf treated effluent to the Truckee River. That is in section 3.2. Tri-Grid agrees to prioritize the use of the Tumwharf effluent above any other source. You will find that in section 3.3A. Tri-GID agrees to take delivery of 4,000 acre-feet of Tumwharf treated effluent within 8 years of the signing of this agreement. The execution of the return flow management agreement, that is in section 3.3B. I would like to point to the council that I feel that was an important part of this negotiation. It is key for us to, if both parties are going to commit to this deal, if you will, that the effluent is delivered at a rate of up to 4,000 acre-feet. The reason I felt that was important, and your negotiation team felt it was important to fix a date to when they commit, the Tri-GID commits to receiving the water, is that we will make certain decisions on the operations of the treatment plant moving forward should this agreement and the return flow management agreement come to fruition. Therefore, it will become very important that this water go down that pipe someday, should you approve it. Tri-GID agrees to reimburse the cities for any expenses for capital costs at Tumwharf associated with improvements needed to supply this water. That could include, but not be limited to, upgrades to our existing pump system, any other electrical upgrades. Tri-GID will pay the capital costs for that work to get done. You will find that in section 5.1. Tri-GID also agrees when replacement water is available, the subject of the return flow management agreement, to pay a base rate for the delivery of the treated effluent. You will find that in section 3.3C. Tri-GID further agrees that when replacement water is not available, they will be considered a reuse customer and to pay a shortage conditions rate for the delivery of the effluent. You will find that in section 3.3D. Duties and commitments of the cities of Reno and Sparks. The cities agree to reserve and to deliver to Tri-GID 4,000 acre-feet of treated effluent, subject to section 7 and the return flow management agreement. You will find that in section 4.1. The cities agreed to provide category B treated effluent as defined in NAC 445A.276. You'll find that in section 4.5. Cities agree to grant Tri-GID any easements needed to bring our pipeline into Tumwharf. And finally, the cities agreed to complete a rate study to establish the base rate and the shortage rates. You will find that in section 8 of the agreement. Terms of the agreement and termination. I think this is an important part should you agree to approve this. Section 6 of the agreement defines the initial term as 30 years, and it also defines 2 extensions of 20 years each. So it could potentially be for as long as 70 years. And allows for termination by either party with 10 years of notification. We spent some time negotiating this element. If this is brought to fruition and effluent management includes 4,000 acre-feet going down the pipeline to the tri-centers, a dependency will be built by both parties, in my opinion. We will operate Tumwharf with the expecting to send 4,000 acre-feet of effluent out of the plant and not to the Truckee River, and vice versa. Tri-GID will become dependent on receiving 4,000 acre-feet. So for both parties, you can't just call up one day and say the agreement's over, because we will both have a mutual dependency of one form or another. Before I conclude my presentation, I'd like to thank the city manager for providing direction to staff. I'd like to thank Assistant City Manager Kreutz for getting this started. I'd really like to thank Cheryl Lighting in the City Attorney's Office. I don't know how many versions of this draft went back and forth before we got here. I'd like to thank Andy Hummel for his expertise and help with water rights, and finally Mike Drinkwater, the guy that's got to keep the plant running. And with that, I know that Mr. Sater with Tri-GID is in the audience. If you have questions for the other party to this agreement.
Questions, Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I've read this agreement twice, and that's twice more than I usually read it. But I want to thank all the same people you thank. In reading this, I can't find anything in here that I disagree with. I think it's a win for the city of Sparks, the city of Reno, and for the Tri-Center. I want to thank everybody that put a hard work in here, and I had urged people on Tumwa and some of the other committees, just let our negotiators negotiate, and then you can ask questions, whatever you want to do to either support it or not support it. But I support this 100%. Thank you.
There's more questions, but ditto for me. Awful lot of work went into this thing. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. All I have to do is read it. Only once for me, I'm sorry.
I know,
but
you're smart.
Yeah.
I share, and there are things that are in here, and I say this for our constituents listening and watching, reason I'm comfortable, very comfortable with what we have here. One is this will pay for the cost. This is not something Sparks is paying for. It's something that will be paid for when that becomes down to staffing and any other costs, and we've talked a lot about that between us, but I think it's important that our Sparks residents understand that very clearly. If we have a drought, then there's no water. Our water comes here first, and that's correct, am I right? I'm asking a question I know too, but I just, in case someone's watching and reading and wondering questions, I think these are important things we look at. There's a 2-year window where we'll keep looking at the cost. So like we talked about earlier, if all of a sudden the power spikes up and we're not, with our tax money, paying for something that's happening miles away that doesn't our land. There's also a 10-year time that protects us in a sense. Before anybody could back out, we'd have a 10-year window to figure out what we're going to do. With that said, I still think it'd be wise for us to consider to look at contingencies. If for some reason, you never know what's going to happen in 30 years. We don't have the ball that we can look at. We can only guesstimate. It all seems very good, but if that's the case, we get ourselves in a situation, we need to be able to make plans for our plant of moving forward. That would be a big change for us, giving away all this water, and then all of a sudden, now we're stuck with those nitrates. So with that said, consistent contingencies are important. I also want to thank the staff. I think reading through this, it pays to have really smart people around you. We're really great stuff in here and things that we're trying to understand to the best of our ability, but I tell you what, it looks pretty great. But I think it's important for our citizens to understand what is not happening, because the Spark citizens are not paying to see water go to another entity or whatever is not happening. They are paying for all of that, and in the end, it actually saves us tax money because it makes it to where we don't have to turn around right now and take care of our sewage plant more and dump money into something there. Is all that correct? Did I do okay, John? Thank you.
Ms. Bybee.
I have a couple questions. On the, how long are we looking at, estimated how long it would take to build the actual pipeline?
Councilwoman Bybee, in as much as that is not a burden on me or my staff to get that designed, I'll have to ask for Mr. Sater to come up from Tri-GID and make a comment on that.
Okay, because that kind of, because it does make a difference to us on when the effluent will actually be flowing. So looking at that timeline, and I guess along those lines also, that 4,000 acre feet that we're committing to, I want to be clear. I think I'm clear, but to make sure everyone's clear, we're not giving away 4,000 acre feet. This agreement is coming with the water rights to replace that. So we, in essence, are getting clean water in exchange for our effluent that they're going to use. So it's not giving away our water. And on the 4,000 acre feet, if they don't, does it roll over? If they don't need 4,000 in 1 year, it's up to 4,000, and can any amount roll over to the following year if they used 3,000 1 year? I mean, is that something that you're
Councilwoman
worried
Riley,
about?
I'll answer that one. It is 4,000 annually. There's no rule.
Okay, okay.
Water rights are managed on it.
So up to 4,000 annually, okay.
Agreement before you contemplates up to 4,000.
Okay, thank you. So the timeline on this?
Timeline is that once the agreements are approved, including the return flow agreement, we would begin the process because we can't go out and begin selling bonds to pay for the pipeline project until, of course, we have the agreements in place. So it's a bit contingent on when the return flow agreement. So although there is a 24-month window in there to get the return flow agreement in place, I can tell you that in haste, we are working with staffs both from Tumwa, City of Sparks, and City of Reno to get that done. Once everything is in place, we believe we can have the pipeline completed within 2 years. We have already begun some of the preliminary work. Preliminary engineering plans of greater than 30% are already complete, which is part of the application that will be going in front of the Governor's Office of Economic Development later this week as well. And so we're pretty far moved along. We have a lot of that piece in place. Like I said, the biggest contingency right now will be actually getting the return flow agreement completed and then selling the bonds, which after that. So to give you a timeline from today, I don't know, but I assume that I would hope that we'd be back in front of this council here shortly, and hopefully, best case scenario, 2.5 years to 3 years having a pipeline that's actually beginning to deliver water over to the Tahoe Reno Industrial General Improvement District. And while I have the mic, I do want to take a moment to thank your staff. Really just absolutely incredible to work with. This is, as you've read, a very complex deal that takes into account many things, and having a professional staff that knows exactly what they're doing and working on the best interest of the citizens of Sparks and on their counterparts with Reno doing the same really has created a deal that I think everybody who reads it will believe is a win-win-win for the entire region. And so I thank you for your leadership in directing them to work with us, and thank them for their hard work through this project. It's been phenomenal.
Thank you. I guess just a couple other comments. I guess to John, really the effects of the growth that we're seeing in our region will only continue to put more stress on Tumwa and on our processing, our water treatment plant. So as we continue to grow, the nitrates for us are a problem. So I see this as a solution to that, because that water can be used in the Tri-Center where they need it, and we need to get rid of the nitrates. And as a public utility, we can't sell our water, our effluent, for profit. But this is, I see, as a very, as a win-win, because we will only continue to, as our plant is old and we keep putting money into it, we would have to look at expansion of the plant if we were not to do this. So I think it solves the problem of the plant. And also, like you said, Adam, it is a win-win, and I think I would like to thank everyone involved in this. I think this truly is an innovative solution that our public-private partnership to really look at how we can do something in the public and private sector together that can benefit both and benefit our taxpayers and our residents and the businesses out there. And I congratulate the innovation that was used and the cooperation of all parties involved putting this together. And I can't thank you enough for all of everyone's hard work to put this together, and I'm in strong support of it. Thank you.
One more comment. The 10-year notice is good for both sides. We can't cut you off, and you can't say we don't need the water anymore. So that was a great addition to the contract. And I'm ready to make a motion whenever you got other people talking.
Why don't you make a motion and we'll ask for questions.
You want to say something first? I can second it. Okay. Okay, I move to approve the agreement for treated effluent as proposed by staff between the City of Sparks, the City of Reno, and the Tahoe Reno Industrial General Improvement District as submitted by the city manager.
Second? Mr. Abbott?
Yeah, I'll second with a comment or
Good.
question. If we do approve this, what percentage of plant expansion would this be? Or bulb?
Councilman Abbott, that's a really good trick question for me. So I took a look at it. We're gonna have to geek out and get in the weeds a little bit here, but focusing purely on the dissolved organic nitrogen issue, we have briefed the council from time to time on how we're doing. We're treating all the nitrogen, I mean, Mike's got the plant running like a watch. The dissolved organic nitrogen, we can't treat with our current technology. So I asked Michael for some typical chemistry over the last 4 years. And if we are successful in managing effluent such that 4,000 acre feet do go to Tri-GID, that's 3.5 million gallons a day. It's about 67.5 pounds of nitrogen every day that would not go to the Truckee River. That represents 13.5% of our permitted 500 pounds. So to answer your question, in a roundabout way, I can say it's a, you know, we're expanding the capacity of the plant by 3.5 million gallons, or we're delaying the next step at the plant in time. So I hope that helps to kind of get your arms around it. I wish I could say it solves all of our problems forever. This council instructed its staff to start looking at management of resources. We know we someday will have a problem at Tom Wharf. We completed the study for build out of the sewer system. We know what we look like in 30 years. The next step is management of this effluent. 4,000 acre feet sounds like a lot. It's a small step in the right direction, and it will be very good for the plant if this is approved and we make it work.
For those like me who don't think about sewage a lot and the numbers of sewage, this helped me a lot today when you shared this. So I just want to share this for anybody out there wondering. So we do have a blue pipe, purple pipe that we put all the way out into Spanish Springs. It has been running, and we try to hook as many business we can onto it. And all of that we've done, we did large bond on that. We get up to 2,000 acre feet of water.
Yeah,
going.
we're
somewhere in there.
Running right around in that
Somewhere in
ballpark.
there. And that's with all the work that we've done on that. This will give us 4,000 with one transaction of working with these guys, which it just shows you the level that you guys are coming to and the importance of what we're talking about and the value of it. And so I just think it kind of puts it in perspective, because sometimes we throw numbers around, and a lot of times we look and I'm like, what does that totally mean? But when you start looking at all that goes to, and we look at this, the value seems to increase. So thank you. I third it. Is that a thing?
Well, Christopher, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about sewage either, but you know, that's my. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Abbott. Any other questions? Okay, ready? Please vote. Passes unanimously. Thanks, folks. Michael, it's hard for me to believe that the gentleman that runs our sewer plant is named Drinkwater. How in the hell did that happen?
It was fate, Mr. Mayor. I don't know what to say.
Had to
Other
be.
than to assure you that I think about sewage enough for all of it.
Bonus.
Mr. Mayor, before you, and I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, members of council, before you have a unusual request for me. I'm seeking your authority to purchase methanol from a supplier to be named later. This situation came upon us as a result of Hurricane Harvey. A little background, we use methanol in the treatment process in the final step of the nitrogen treatment. It is a critical chemical for our process. There's no significant methanol production in North America. It's all imported from the Caribbean or from West Africa, all through the port of Houston. Our supply was in question when I wrote the staff report a week and a half ago. The picture is better. It is not, we're not reassured 100% yet, but it is getting better. But what I'm seeking from you is permission to purchase from not the supplier we have a contract with, which is Thatcher Chemical, but should we need to seek an alternate source if another chemical supplier has methanol available, not have to come first to you, but to go ahead and purchase up to $250,000 of methanol. We use approximately $5,000 a day of methanol in the process, so that sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. And I want to reassure you, this is not new money. I'm not seeking a budget augmentation. This is simply within the current approved budget, spending some of it with a second vendor.
Our order is floating around in Houston somewhere, or?
The ships that bring the methanol in are currently, I think, staged a safe distance offshore, waiting for things to clear up. But the real critical point is rail traffic. It's transferred onto rail cars, would then transferred, in the case of our vendor, to Sacramento, where it's then put in trucks for us. And rail traffic out of Houston is still questionable.
Mike, is it, what is our supply right now? I mean, are we like days from?
No, ma'am.
How close are we to being in dire need?
Great question. So I've been on the phone with our supplier on a routine basis. They have 6 rail cars, 4 physically in their yard and 2 somewhere east of Houston and west of Sacramento, en route to Sacramento. So that's approximately 20,000 gallons per rail car. So we are good somewhere to the second week of October. So as long as rail traffic resumes out of Houston sometime before, say, the 22nd or 23rd of this month, we'll be okay. So I am routinely, I'm on the phone with them every day asking for updates. So at this point, we're okay.
Any other questions? Okay, looking for a motion. Miss Bybee.
I move to approve the purchase of methanol from multiple vendors in an amount not to exceed $250,000 during fiscal year 18.
Mr. Abbott. We have a motion by Ms. Bybee, seconded by Mr. Abbott to approve agenda item 9.6. Nine seven is a first reading.
Bill number 2723, an ordinance amending Title 15 of the Sparks Municipal Code, adding section 15.05.104.1.4 to require all permanent buildings or facilities constructed on or after October 1st, 2017 that are used by the public and contain a public restroom to provide a baby changing tables and other matters properly related thereto.
This is the first reading for bill number 27.3. The public hearing and second reading of this bill will be conducted at the regular city council meeting of Monday, September 25th, 2017. Okay, agenda item 9.8 is the first reading.
Bill number 2724, a general ordinance providing for the annexation of certain lands to the city of Sparks, lands more specifically described as assessor parcel numbers 026-341-13 and 026-341-51, a site approximately 3.47 acres in size, real property owned by Lisha Liu, located at 3650 Whittakin Road, Sparks, Nevada, and providing other matters properly related thereto.
This is the first reading of bill number 2724. The public hearing and second reading of this bill will be conducted at the meeting on Monday, September 25th, 2017. Agenda item 9.9 is the first reading.
A general ordinance rezoning real property owned by Lisha Liu from SF-15 single-family residential to SF-6 single-family residential for 2 parcels totaling approximately 3.47 acres in size, located at 3650 Whittakin Road, Sparks, Nevada, and providing other matters properly relating thereto.
This is the first reading for bill number 2725. Public hearing and second reading of this bill will be conducted at the regular city council meeting on Monday, September 25th, 2017. Point 1, second reading, public hearing, discussion, and possible adoption of bill number 2721. An ordinance amending chapter 12.48 of the Sparks Municipal Code, Electrical System Franchise Agreement, to allow the city council to distribute a portion of the electrical system franchise fees between a fund for street maintenance and a fund for park maintenance in such proportions as the city council directs from time to time, and providing other matters property related thereto. Who's, you?
Again,
Stealth.
I'm stealth and quiet. No change. Again, good afternoon, Mayor and members of the City Council. For the record, my name is Brian Kaysen, Capital Projects Manager for the City of Sparks. I am here today to present the second reading of Bill number 2721, which is an ordinance amending Chapter 12.48 of the Sparks Municipal Code in reference to the electrical system franchise agreement. This amendment will allow the City Council to distribute a portion of the electrical system franchise fees between the Street Maintenance Fund and the Park Maintenance Fund in proportions as the City Council may direct from time to time. Essentially, this amendment allows City Council more flexibility in changing how the franchise fee revenue is allocated between the Street Maintenance Fund and the Park Maintenance Fund. With that being the end of my presentation, I will answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Okay, seeing none, this is a public, open to the public. Anyone in the public like to speak to this particular item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for action. Any other questions, comments? Okay, looking for a motion. Mr. Dare.
I move to adopt Bill number 2721, an ordinance amending Chapter 12.48 of the Sparks Municipal Code.
And I'll second that. What are we changing the percentage to?
Ultimately, would Steve be better to? Yeah.
This is a result of action taken by the council during the final budget process in April and May. You directed the 3% additional monies that were added on the franchise fee several years ago. You dedicated 2% to the street system and 1% to parks maintenance. In the final budget for 1 year, the current year, the council directed us to put 2% towards parks, with that additional 1% being used at the Golden Eagle Park for field turf replacement, and then reducing down to 1% to the road fund. It was only done for a year. So we worked with what you wanted for that. We needed to change this ordinance because it was very specific. What we've done under your direction and with your authority, what we brought you forward today is the flexibility that each year, if you choose, you can change the 3% between parks maintenance and roads. So when we go into the budget process, in your budget policies, it will be one of the things that you'll be specifically asked as to how you want to allocate that 3% between those two potential uses. So this is just a way for us to have this ordinance be flexible per your direction.
Any other questions? Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Dare, was it? Yeah. Passes unanimously. Okay, 10.2, second reading, public hearing. Discussion and possible adoption of bill number 2722, an ordinance amending chapter 12.46 of the Sparks Municipal Code, natural gas franchise agreement to allow the city council to distribute a portion of the natural gas franchise fees between a fund for street maintenance and a fund for park maintenance. Go ahead.
And Brian Kaysen for the record, Capital Projects Manager for the City of Sparks. This is essentially the same thing as the previous agenda item, only it's for the natural gas portion of the franchise agreement. It will, again, allow the city to distribute a portion of the natural gas franchise fees between the Street Maintenance Fund and the Park Maintenance Fund in proportions as the City Council may direct from time to time. So, again, the same thing, just dealing with the natural gas portion of the franchise agreement. So with that being the end of my presentation, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll open a public hearing. Anyone in the audience like to speak to this particular item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for action. Any questions, comments? Looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
Adopt bill number 2722, an ordinance amending chapter 12.46 of the Sparks Municipal Code.
Mr. Smith.
Second.
It's moved by Mr. Abbott, seconded by Mr. Smith to approve agenda item 10.2.
you.
Okay, 10.3, public hearing, consideration and possible approval of the bargaining agreement AC 540 between the city of Sparks and the operating district supervisory unit for the period of July 2017 to June 30.
Good afternoon, Mayor Martini, members of the City Council. For the record, Neil Kreutz, Assistant City Manager, appearing before you today on behalf of the City Manager with the first of a round of collective bargaining agreements that we're going to ask you to consider over the next 2 or 3 meetings. And there are really 2 collective bargaining agreements here today and an associated employee resolution. The first one is for the operating engineers, local number 3, as Mayor Martini indicated, the supervisory group there. It is a 1-year deal that is the result of several meeting sessions between city management and representatives of the collective bargaining unit that reached the 1-year deal that I've just referenced in front of you. And there are a few points that I'd like to review very quickly with you so that you can kind of get a flavor of what is contemplated to change. And the first big one is pay rates. We did negotiate, and they have ratified a 2% cost of living adjustment that would be, if it is approved here today, retroactive to the first full pay period after July 1st. The impact of that decision, the financial impact in total, would be about $45,000, split between about $16,000 in the general fund and the balance in other city funds, predominantly in our enterprise funds, whether it's sewer, storm, or development services to a little bit. The second one is also a financial issue, and that is keeping in line with our desire to reinforce the idea of continuing education throughout a person's career. We are here in front of you today with a recommendation that we increase the tuition reimbursement from $1,500 a fiscal year to $1,800 a fiscal year. And that, additional $300 a year could mean as much as an additional $7,200 if everybody available to use that benefit did use it. $2,700, which would be general fund, the balance in other funds. However, if we look at historic use within the bargaining group, the impacts of that additional $300 a year is going to total in roughly the $480 a range, $480 a year range for you. So not a major impact there, but it could be as much as $7,200 a year. Those are really the 2 big financial issues that are changing in the proposed agreement that's in front of you today. There are some other minor wording changes that are really aimed at clarifying the agreement and allowing it to be more easily managed through its life. I do have my lead negotiating counterpart with the operating engineers is here today, Phil Herring. I don't know if you'll have any questions for him, but with that, I will conclude my staff report and invite you to open the public hearing or answer your questions.
Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone in the audience like to speak to this particular item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for action. Questions or motion, Mr. Smith?
First of all, I'd like to thank Neil and your staff and then the OE3 staff for the negotiations. I thought they went pretty good, and everybody got something of what they wanted. Of course, we wanted a little bit longer contract, but 1 year is fine for now. I move to approve the bargaining agreement between the City of Sparks and the Operating Engineers Local Number 3 Supervisory Unit covering the period of July 1, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. Again, thanks for both sides.
You have a second, Mr. Dare?
I'd also like to say thank you. This is my first year watching all the union fund and all the conversations, and it would seem that everybody, and I say this loudly, that I appreciate it, seemed like we're all on the same team trying to go after the same goal for our city. And I think that's very important because that's not always true in other places. So yeah, it's something very important. So with that said, I do second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Dare. 3. It's the contract between the City of Sparks and the Operating Engineers Local Number 3 Supervisory Unit. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
I'm trying.
Passes unanimously. Okay, 10.4 is a public hearing, consideration and possible approval of the bargaining agreement AC 5405 between the operating engineers local number 3 non-supervisory unit for the period of July 1, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. Go ahead, Neil.
Mayor Martini, again, Neil Kreutz, Assistant City Manager for the record here on behalf of our city manager. This is the second of our two operating engineers collective bargaining units that we're here in front of you with today, and it's the non-supervisory group. Essentially, it's the same outline that I just reviewed for the supervisors with a couple of additions. Probably the biggest one is that the number of employees in this unit is far larger than in the supervisory unit. So as I'm talking about financial impacts, they're typically a bit bigger. It's the same 2% cost of living adjustment, again, retroactive, as the mayor indicated, to the first full pay period after July 1st. The financial impact of that 2% COLA would be $244,000, split into roughly $90,000 needing to come from the general fund and $154,000 coming from the other funds that I spoke to earlier. We do have some recommended special assignment pay in this one that is in addition to what you heard with the supervisors, and that is for our emergency communications dispatcher trainers and our police assistant trainers. Right now, they receive either $5 per day or $50 per week when they are training another employee, and what we're proposed and that the group has ratified, and we're hoping you'll approve here today, is going from $50 to $75 a week or $5 to $10 a day. The financial impact of that is estimated at just over $3,000 and all to come from the general fund. This group also does receive a safety apparel uniform allowance. Currently, it's set at $275 per year, and through our negotiations, we did land on a number of increasing that to $300 per year. Total impact of that's about $2,600, only about $350 of which comes from the general fund. The balance of that comes from mostly your sewer and storm drain enterprise funds. In as much as operating engineers also represent the group of city mechanics who keep all of our equipment up and running, we do, in our current agreement, have a tool allowance for them that pays out on a quarterly basis. And we are proposing to increase largely from $360 a quarter to $400 a quarter for that group. And that's where I need to correct a typographical error in the staff report where we indicate the financial impact of that to be $420 a year. It actually should read $800. I apologize for that mistake. It's as simple as it's 5 mechanics, $40 additional dollars a quarter times 4 a year, $800. So a relatively minor mistake, but again, my apologies. The same tuition reimbursement proposal there, going from $1,500 to $1,800. In as much as I referenced, we have a few more employees in this group than we do in the supervisors. If everybody took advantage of it that's eligible to, this could cost us an additional $51,300 a year. However, if we look back at the last 3 years, we only anticipate that that's going to cost us about an additional $7,000 if we continue to see the same types of use there. But again, we are committed to lifelong learning for all of our employees in the city of Sparks. And then there are a handful of wording changes into the agreement that are all aimed at cleaning up how we administer and manage and live with that over the coming year. I'd be happy to answer any questions specifically on that. Otherwise, I won't go into those. With that, I will conclude my presentation and answer any questions that you have.
None. This is a public hearing item, so I'll open the public hearing. Anyone in the audience like to speak to this particular item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for action. Questions? Motions?
Bargaining agreement between the City of Sparks and Operating Engineers Local Number 3 non-supervisory unit for the period from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018.
I'll go ahead and second that with a comment. I do appreciate the terms that were negotiated for this contract. However, I too would like to see longer than a one-year contract. So, but the rest of the terms I'm happy with, and I support this.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Abbott, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve agenda item 10.4. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Hey, what's going on here?
I don't know.
10.5 is a public hearing, consideration and possible approval of the confidential employee resolution number 3281 for the period of July 2017 through June 30th, 2018. You're on a roll, Neil.
Cruz, Assistant City Manager, here for the record on behalf of your city manager with a one-year proposed resolution for our confidential employees. By way of a little bit of background, that is the group of employees who were, but for their involvement in seeing sensitive information, so they see what goes on in the labor negotiations from the city side before we get to the table, they are separated per NRS out of collective bargaining and set up in their own employee group. And state law requires that we mirror what's ever in their resolution to what we have agreed to with OE3. So really that's what you see here is a mirroring of the same two things, the same two agreements that you've just approved, which looked suspiciously similar. You're going to see the same set of details in here as well. It's a one-year term, just like the other two. Again, it's a 2% cost of living adjustment retroactive to the first full pay period following July 1. The total financial impact there, because this is a very small group, is about $7,000 a year in the general fund. The tuition reimbursement going from $1,500 to $1,800 could be a maximum of $1,200 a year. So that tells you we have 4 people in this resolution. But typically, based on the use we've seen from that group of 4 in the last 3 years, we anticipate our tuition reimbursement costs are going to go up on the order of about $350. So again, very, very minor financial impacts with this resolution. The same types of cleanup in language, in as much as, we track our time now, not by filling out paper time cards, but by, sliding a card through a system. So, vacation and annual leave and sick leave can be used in any increment that the machine can measure now. We used to have, larger limits on that to keep the paperwork more simple. But, other than that, it's a very straightforward resolution, and we respectfully ask you to approve it. Yes, public hearing.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing to the audience. Anyone want to speak to this particular item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for action. Mr. Dare,
I'm ready to make a motion.
please.
I move to approve the resolution between the City of Sparks and the confidential employees for the period of July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018.
A comment by Mr. Driscoll first?
When you're done. Thank you.
Ms. Bybee.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Dare, seconded by Ms. Bybee to approve 10.5 for the confidential employee resolution number 3281. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I just wanted to publicly thank the negotiation teams for both sides. We've not always had great labor relationships with different groups, and I compliment OE3 has done a tremendous job of understanding the city issues and the details, our finances, and they've worked with us to try to find solutions, and I think this is solutions. There's a very logical reason for a one-year agreement. Everyone wants them longer. We're in the middle of the Hayes study. This group's going to be greatly affected, so it made sense for us to only do 1 year. With that being said, also, I want to thank the negotiation team led by Mr. Kreutz. They spend a lot of time, a lot of hours. They do an awful lot of math to figure out the things which is required by NRS, and it's a tradition for this organization. We've always taken this seriously. We always spend the time that we need to, and we make sure that we try to provide an agreement that is in the best interest of the city and the employees, and specific focus on the employees. So I just want to publicly thank the members that are in the room today for the diligence they did and the long hours they put in to bring this forward, and OE3 too. So thank you very much.
Okay. Let's move on to 11.1, please. 11.1 is a public hearing, consideration, and possible adoption of resolution number 3319, certifying an amendment of the comprehensive plan to change the land use designation from LDR, low density residential, to IDR, intermediate density residential, on 2 parcels totaling approximately 3.47 acres, located at 3650 Whittaker Road, Sparks, Nevada. Go ahead, Karen.
Good afternoon, Mayor Martini and Council. I'm Karen Melby, Development Service Manager. Before you today is a request to certify an amendment to the comprehensive plan to change the land use designations from low-density residential to intermediate-density residential on 2 parcels located at 3650 Whittaker Road. They are a total of 3.47 acres. You can see here outlined in red are the parcels. It's this parcel and this little one within the parcel. Over here is El Rancho Road in Sullivan. This is on Whittaker. The subject property is on the south side of Whittaker and bounded on 2 sides by the Sparks city limits. This request is a City of Sparks initiated comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use from LDR to IDR. The Planning Commission approved this amendment, resolution number 215, on June 15, 2017, and recommends that the City Council certify the amendment. On July 26, 2017, the Regional Planning Commission conducted a review and found the proposed amendment in conformance with the regional plan. The applicant submitted an application for annexation and zone change for the subject properties in August of 2016. At the time that the applications were submitted, the city lacked the capacity to provide sewer service to the sites. Also during this time period, the city was in the process of adopting our new comprehensive plan, which included a policy that the city cannot annex parcels until the city can provide services. The applicant agreed to postpone the review of the annexation and zone change applications until the city knew whether sanitary sewer service could be provided to the subject properties. Accordingly, the applications were not processed until the 2017-2018 capital improvement plan was adopted or approved by the City Council, which was on May 22nd, 2017. The CIP allocates funding to increase the sewer capacity, sanitary sewer capacity in the vicinity of these properties. At the time of the submittal, the property was designated land use, on the land use, the city's adopted land use map as low-density residential and medium-density residential. You can see here's the old land use map. The property is identified right here. When we adopted the current land use map, well, the LDR density has a density of 3 to 7 dwelling units per acre, and the MDR density has 17 to 20 units per acre. The designation was both, so I'm not exactly sure what that the density would have been, but this whole area was designated that mixed of LDR, MDR. The City Council certified the new comprehensive plan on October 24th, 2016. The adopted comprehensive plan changed the land use designation to LDR, which is shown on this map, which permits 3 to less than 6 dwelling units per acre. The applicant therefore petitioned the city to revert the land use back to the equivalent designation that they had on the previously adopted land use map. The city initiated this. The city is initiating this, or has initiated this comprehensive plan map. This is the existing land use map for the. Accompanying this request is also an annexation and rezoning request, which you've had the first readings for those today, and they will be scheduled for action on September 25th. The neighborhood meeting, which is required by the Nevada revised statutes for the proposed comprehensive plan amendment, was held on June 6, 2017. There were 25 people who attended the meeting. Their concerns included traffic, ownership of improvements to Whittakin Road, the extension of utilities, especially sewer, to the property, the potential density of the development, and the general concerns about potential impacts to their neighborhood, such as increased crime and more pedestrian traffic. During the meeting, the focus was more on the annexation and rezone requests than actually the comprehensive plan amendment. As illustrated here on the proposed map, the IDR is consistent with the lands to the east here. This is IDR, and this is also RDR. So this request is consistent with designations in the vicinity of the property. Addressing the comprehensive plan findings, CP1, which states that the project must be in compliance with the Truckee Meadows Regional Plan goals. It is in compliance with Goal 1.1, which is population growth within the TMSA, as also Goal 3.5, which coordinates the master plan and facility plans. The Regional Planning Commission, as I stated earlier, found that this amendment is in conformance with the regional plan on July 26, 2017. Comprehensive plan finding 2 finds that this request is consistent with the goals in our comprehensive plans of Goal MG4, Goal MG6, Policy CF1, Goal H1, and also Policy H2. The intent of these goals and policies is to encourage infill and redevelopment, especially in older neighborhoods, and provide diverse housing options and compact, efficient development throughout the city. This comprehensive plan amendment requests these goals and policies by enabling the applicant to redevelop the subject property with a higher density. The properties are located in an established neighborhood adjacent to the city of Sparks. Once the sewer capacity improvements are complete, the city will be able to provide sewer capacity to these subject properties. Finding CP3, the Wild Creek Meadows, or the name of this project, is located in an area of mixed single-family residential types. There are large single-family lots in the unincorporated area, which is north of Whittakin in this area. To the immediate east is our large undeveloped, is an unannexed parcel. So this piece right here is unannexed. But then also to the east is existing within the city, and these are about 6,000 square foot lots. To the south are, again, single-family homes on 6,000 square foot lots, and they are within the city. To the west is a vacant parcel owned by the church, which is this property here. This parcel here is owned by the church. The density proposed by this comprehensive plan amendment is the same as the existing land use designations for the existing subdivisions located within the city limits to the south and east. The last finding, CP4, which is public notice, was published in the Reno Gazette Journal on June 1st, 2017. The Planning Commission and City Council function as the public hearing required by the NRS. And as I stated, we already had the neighborhood meeting in June of this year. The Planning Commission and staff recommend that the City Council certify this comprehensive plan amendment from low-density residential LDR to intermediate density IDR for this application based on the findings CP1 through CP4 and the facts supported in my staff report. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So Karen, the action we're asking for right now is simply a comprehensive plan amendment, totally separate from the first readings we just did on a rezoning and annexation of that same parcel, correct?
That is correct.
So all we're doing today is the comprehensive land amendment we're taking with this item.
Yes, we are just reviewing the comprehensive plan amendment, which is initiated by the city of Sparks because we were agreement with the property owner that when we did the new comprehensive plan map, the land use map that's in our comprehensive plan, we changed their designation. So we're trying to bring it more into conformance with what they had on the previously adopted land use map.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions from council? This is a public hearing, so we'll open up the public hearing. I have one speaking card from Mr. Greg Evangelatis. Greg, come on up. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the Sparks City Council. For the record, I'm Greg Evangelatos, I'm a professional city planner. My address is 1365 Hilltop Road, Reno, Nevada. I just wanted to support the recommendation of the Planning Commission, the Regional Planning Commission, and your staff, and believe that this is the right utilization and right level of intensity for this property. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay. Seeing anyone else, public comment? Seeing no further public comment, we'll go back to the council for action. Questions, motions? Mr. Dare.
I'll make a motion. I move to adopt resolution number 3319, certifying a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use designation from LDR low density residential to IDR intermediate density residential on a site approximately 3.47 acres in size located at 3650 Wedekind Road, Sparks, Nevada.
Mr. Smith.
Second. That's a second.
Agenda item 11.1, any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Where am I at? 12.1 is comments from the public. I have one card for Speaker Bill Wagner. Come on up, Bill.
Not coming up for a couple of months. Los Altos Parkway was once a residential road. It is now a thoroughfare. And the reason for it really is because we have 450 houses more up on the mountaintop. And we also have the apartments down below on the south side. And my concern really is the traffic. That is the biggest concern I have for right now, okay? So I hope you'll take that into consideration when the time comes for the big vote. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And by the way, I'm learning a lot sitting over here. Wow.
So, sir, if you need to speak to somebody on staff for that particular item, please call our city manager, and he'll lead you in the right direction.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Anyone else under public comment? Comments from city council or staff?
Board to mirror the Sparks Citizen Advisory bylaws and to bring it back to council.
Do what again, Dom?
To look and create a senior board that would be mirroring the Sparks Citizen Advisory bylaws to a certain extent.
I've got a couple issues. One of them is, the biggest complaints we get in the city, this has been going on for quite a while, is speeders. and the speeders are coming from every part of town that we have. And if you get a ticket in Sparks, you're very unlucky. I'm telling you right now, because we don't have the police coverage. So I'd like to ask Chief, come down for a second. Chief, I know that we get grants for the three areas, the City of Reno, Sparks, and the county. We do DUI stops and checkpoints. Are there safer grants? And I don't know if that's the right grant, or are there any grants that we could get? And I understand that if we could get grants, it means overtime for our police officers, and I get that, and I know they work hard as it is. So is there anything out there that you know of?
Brian Allen, Chief of Police, for the record. Just to give a little more comprehensive answer to your overall thing, prior to the Great Recession, we had 4 motor officers, a traffic accident investigator, and a sergeant that supervised that, and that made up our traffic enforcement unit. To this day, we have not been able to, based on the budgets and the finances of the city, been able to regain a lot of those positions that we had to cut, providing basic services to our citizens. So currently, we only have 2 motor officers who serve our city. So in conjunction with that, we do apply for, when we see grants, usually those are pass-through grants from the federal government through Joining Forces, a program set up by the state's Office of Traffic Safety, where we apply for and use grant funding for a number of what are considered campaigns. And those things that you just discussed are those types of campaigns. They're seatbelt enforcement, distracted driving enforcement, construction zone enforcement, speeding enforcement, and DUI enforcement. So in those things, we can apply for overtime for up to 16 different campaigns held throughout the year in conjunction with the state's master traffic plan to reduce injury, accidents, and fatalities. Based on our overtime that our officers are working just to maintain shift schedules, we have chosen to back down our application for those grant funds from all 16 of those campaigns, and we now only apply for and have overtime available for 8 of those campaigns throughout the year. So we do use overtime specifically for those campaigns. Most of those are speeding, DUI, distracted driving. You will also see at times there is a separate grant that we apply for with the City of Reno that deal with construction zones, and that's why at times you may see a Reno motor officer or a county officer, for example, in and around the area. Traffic enforcement is because they are there on a larger region-wide grant that's assisting us in our traffic function.
That answers my question. I hope we can do it. I know do a few of them anyway. I know that overtime becomes a problem with all our special events and everything else. So if they're available and you can get them and we can get somebody to do it, that'd be great. Otherwise, I understand our limitations as far as the police department and how many people we have. And I'll just put this out there too, because I go to HOA meetings and I go to other meetings and people are always complaining about the people speeding. And if they turn around and look in the mirror, it's probably them or their neighbor. They want speed bumps. I am against speed bumps, and I know the fire department is not crazy about speed bumps because it can't respond to any emergencies. So slow down, tell your neighbors to slow down, and we'll get along a lot better.
Generally speaking, it's neighbors drive fast in neighborhoods.
Yeah, they do.
John Erickson's not in favor of speed humps either.
Thanks, Chief. And speaking about the fire department, we got a pancake breakfast coming up, Chief. When's that? Saturday, October the 14th. So everybody go support our fire department. And I have one last thing. In January and February, we had 2 flood occurrences. And of course, we were there for the EOC, and I was so impressed with everybody that chipped in and did some things to prevent and help us with the flooding, or the lack of flooding. But there was one business out there that really stepped up to the plate. It was CD Concrete. They came with their concrete trucks full of sand and helped us fill sandbags at a couple of the locations. 7 seconds per bag is what it did. I'd like to see a proclamation of advance from CD Contract to thank him, CD Cement. And also maybe get a coalition with all of these cement trucks around town. Wouldn't it be great if we can go down to some of these senior homes that we got calls from all the time that they can't do sandbags? If they pull up in front of their house, we can have their house sandbagged in a half hour. So this could be Washoe County-wide, and I think nationwide. If you look at the backbreaking work that they're doing in Florida and in Houston, that's a lot of work, and a lot of people aren't capable of doing that anymore. So if we could do that, Mr. Manager, I'd appreciate it. and open up that dialogue. That's it.
Christopher, go ahead.
And I just have one thing with the Nevada Veterans Memorial. On September 30th at the marina, we are planning a barbecue where we're gonna let people come out and see the new site, kind of have some answers there, have hot dogs and something to drink, and a hangout time just from 12 to 2. Now, I say that if you're a veteran out there, a citizen of Sparks, or anybody interested in coming out, we'd like you to see. There's a new sign up, and we're so excited, very excited working with Parks and Rec and putting this all together. But the Nevada Veterans Memorial is moving forward. September 30th, that's a Saturday, 12 to 2. Details still to come, but we are hoping you put it on your calendar. Thanks.
Mr. Driscoll.
I have two things, Mr. Mayor. The first, I have an announcement. The following committee appointment is available. Civil Service Commission, we have the need for one member for a partial term that will finish on June 30th of 2019. Persons interested in serving on this committee should complete a community service application available from the city clerk's office. You may also apply online at the city's website, www.cityofsparks.us. Click on Government on the web page. Then under Boards and Commissions, click Volunteering for a Sparks Board or Commission. Then fill out the online application and submit. Applications will be accepted until the close of business on Friday, October 13th, 2017 at 4 p.m. Number two, we have a celebrity amongst us today. Mr. Dan Marin, would you please come down? Well, he should. For those of you who were at the game, the University of Nevada game on Saturday, there is the new voice of the Pride of the Sierra. Mr. Marin has agreed to be that voice, and so he's working with University Marching Band for home games and other events. And so he debuted on Saturday. He did a fabulous job of the announcing that was going on. You actually could hear him, and you could hear what he was saying, and it worked out really well. So I just wanted to let Dan know that we're proud of him and representing the university committee as well as representing the city well. So this is something he's doing on his own time and working it through. But dedication to excellence that he does in his day job was very evident with his Saturday job. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, seeing no further business, we are adjourned.